This is Predator Crash 00 and Joseph 82.
And this is Conspiracy Theorist. What happened to true skepticism? So, Praetor, I have been wanting to do this for a long time because this is a topic that's really been bugging me for a couple of years now, actually. And it is, what happened to true skepticism in America? Why is there a total lack of skepticism and investigative journalism in the mainstream media? And why are people that dissent or counter the mainstream narrative demonized, labeled, and marginalized by being labeled a conspiracy theorist?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Like yourself, I do not subscribe to mainstream media. I haven't for some time. The sources they use, essentially it's regurgitation of the same thing. I swear, to me it seems whenever I watch regular news, and it's very rare, it's normally whenever I just want to beat myself over the head with something, but generally when I watch mainstream media, it seems to me as if, I swear in the mornings, they must sit around a table and just start passing the same notes around. I hear the exact same talking points regurgitated on every channel. And I'm talking about both sides, too. I'm talking about both sides of the spectrum, MSNBC, Fox News. You hear the same thing. It might be the other side of it, but the same talking points. There's nothing fresh. There's nothing new. Not fair and balanced, as you like to quote from one of those agencies' slogans. I don't like to. It's nothing to listen to. It's nothing pure. Nothing organic about it.
No, there's no information. There's no new information. Literally, all they do is regurgitate news to you. And I've literally seen and document shots on CNN and C-SPAN of they literally read off the Drudge Report. They have it printed out and they literally read off the Drudge Report, which is hilarious to me. So they don't even do their job anymore. So there's been this death of journalism, the death of investigative journalism in America, and but more than that, there's been this movement to demonize anyone that falls outside of the accepted paradigm as a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, it's true. Anybody who doesn't agree with the standard narrative is branded as something, and generally they seem the term now conspiracy theorist. It no longer is crazy, lunatic, or anything like that. They just say conspiracy theorist, and we have been conditioned to now believe as soon as we hear conspiracy theory to throw it out the window. They're crazy. That's
a great point. I was actually going to talk about that later on in the video. Conspiracy theory is an actual cognitive device, and people don't even realize it. That it has been ingrained in their brain because they can't separate conspiracy from theory because that is the major usage that they find that word in as conspiracy theory. So it's inextricably linked to theory and therefore discounted. So when anybody hears conspiracy, they discount the argument out of hand, and effectively discourse is shut down. And so this is a device used by the mainstream media and the establishment and the government to literally stifle any sort of meaningful dissent, any sort of meaningful investigation or question asking. It's incredible to me that people don't realize this. I mean,
well, to me, I find the most disgusting to me is that not 40 years ago, 50 years ago, this type of thought process was encouraged. Matter of fact, more than half the nation believed the government was against them. And these weren't conspiracy theorists. These were college students, adults, kids going out there and marching, saying this is wrong. And I know you have a couple of examples you want to bring up. Do you have those there? Examples where what we call quote-unquote conspiracy theory was that's encouraged, that kind of thought, that challenge to the status quo. That's a good thing. It's healthy. That's how nations...
I know that I was raised believing that dissent was the highest form of patriotism. I mean, I was brought up on that. You think for yourself. You question. That doesn't make you a kook. Now, so what happened to the spirit of the 60s and the 70s? The questioning and holding government responsible for actions. I mean, look at the atrocities of Kent State, the entire civil rights movement, and Watergate. These were not conspiracy theories. These were facts. These things happened, and people were outraged. Contrast that with the apathy of today, the total lack of outrage over just the never-ending violations of our civil liberties. For instance, okay, so contrast Kent State with the UC Berkeley pepper spray incident. contrast the civil rights movement with the Patriot Act, the NDAA, indefinite detention, the dissolution of habeas corpus. I mean, now we have a president that says that he can extrajudicially assassinate U.S. citizens without.
And I love this. This is a good one to bring up because essentially what happened was people were going out a couple of years before saying the NDAA we can't have this. If this passes, I mean, it's the end of freedom. And the government said, no, it's conspiracy theory. Never going to happen. Then they started saying, oh, well, we mean we can take people and imprison them for as long as we need to, but it's just non-U.S. citizens. People want, war criminals and so forth. They're like, oh, okay. And then people start saying, no. It says in the language they can do American citizens. They said, no, that's crazy.
That's a conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy there. But then, guess what happened? A few months later, okay, it means American citizens, but ones that are fighting against us. Like for instance, Anwar al-Awlaki is the one that was brought up most often. And then they say, oh well, what about the language now? And Rand Paul stood up and did a filibuster saying, what about United States citizens in the U.S.? Can you drone attack them or put them in prison for the rest of their lives if you want to using the NDAA? And they said no. And then they said, well, yes, it could, but no, it would definitely be inappropriate for us to do.
Yeah,
so.
and it even came out. Obama denied. Obama said that he wouldn't sign it. Then he did sign it. He signed it at 11. That. What was it, like right shy of midnight on New Year's Eve in 2010. Yes. Then it came out in the Senate that Carl Levin admitted that it was the Obama administration that refused to sign it unless they added the clause about dealing with indefinite detention of U.S. citizens. That it was the administration, in fact, contrary to what they had said the entire time, that they weren't for it, that they had no influence on it, nor would they sign it, they would veto it, all this stuff. And then it comes out that not only were they for it, not only did they write it, they forced the Senate to put that provision in there. So it's incredible, absolutely incredible. So so where did this term first come about, and when was it popularized? Well, while Wikipedia is not a great source, it was the only place where I found the first recorded usage of the term conspiracy theory, and that apparently goes back to 1870 in a medical journal. But it was really popularized after the JFK assassination because so many Americans did not buy the Warren Commission's report. I mean, the magic bullet theory was complete nonsense. I think that most people will agree that the official narrative is ludicrous. So that's where you first really start to see it used, as after that. And then, of course, you had the Watergate scandal. And really after the 70s and 80s is where you see it. I would say posit really in the 90s is where it really started picking up steam, and that anybody that questioned the official narrative, because I think that this goes hand in hand with the death of the media, which I really think took place during the 90s with the Clinton administration. So I think that we haven't had an objective media since the Clinton administration, and possibly arguably before, but that's just as far back as I can trace it. What do you think?
No, I just think the conspiracy theorists, I mean, it hurts me to use the term anymore because it makes so many people hurt that actually have problems and want to question the status quo and the current narrative. At the same point, you hate to use it because you know you're going to be labeled just by that. Anybody who listens to this is going to say, either they agree, they say, oh, you're right, you're 100% right, completely. Just because a conspiracy is a collusion between two people, a theory is a theory. There's nothing wrong with that term. But now people are just conditioned to believe if you say conspiracy theory, it just means you're crazy.
Paranoid.
It means you're crazy. It's paranoid, exactly. And it's painful, so I even hate to use the term, but now I feel like I'm just promoting that same hatred, that same indoctrinating sense that if you use that term or if you say it, you're crazy.
Yeah.
And it does. It hurts me. And I know it hurts other people, too. At the same point, those that believe it, they're going to say, no, that's crazy. The government would never hurt us. They're here to help us.
You know, it's sad. I just wish people would think for themselves. You know, don't discount anything out of hand just because it's labeled a certain way. You know, do your own research and arrive at your own conclusions. And that's all I got to say about that.
And that's really the best way to do it. Do your own research, come to your conclusion, determine whether or not you think that the tagline is really the truth. Give us a comment if you think you agree.